Okay. As you know, it's going to be recorded. All right. Now, as I said, thank you so much for showing up because over the last few months, you have shown up with commitment, and I appreciate that. And showing that commitment to strengthening how the weatherization work gets done. And leadership is in this space isn't about having all the answers. It's about building systems, building relationships that work, supporting people, and staying focused. So as we close this cohort, I want to share a few important next steps. You will be receiving a certificate of completion. Oh, me either, Crystal. How nice. You will be receiving a certificate of completion as well as a digital badge that you can use in your email signature or like your LinkedIn profile or any other professional platform you want to use. But due to the holidays, I might not get those out till after the first of the year. Okay. So just bear with me, but you will be receiving them, promise. And so I also want to say that we have our MLTC 26 conference coming up, and we have an energy summit, which I will be also heading at MLTC. It'll be myself. Um, It'll be John will be there, and we will have John Patty from CETA, Paul Lalont. Oh, I'm so sorry if I say his name wrong. And Harold Rice, the CEO of CETA, some big heavy hitters in the weatherization world. So if you see the registration in an email coming towards you, please check it out. It's a lot of good information. We're trying to bring together weatherization leaders, executive directors, and finance people to come together to learn how to pivot in this moment that we are in and share good ideas and also hear the success of CETA and how they have learned to make the model that they have initiated work. So if you are capable of attending, please don't miss it. Of course, I'm going to be there. I want to see you all, please, if I can. All right. All right. So, WAP Pro 3.0. So now that this was WAP Pro 2.0, if you know any of your colleagues that you think that would be interested in this type of cohort, I will be sending out, the advertisement, the application process, all of those good things to you guys so you can pass it along. It'll also be in our newsletter, on our social media, all the places we advertise so you guys can tell them just how fabulous NCAP is, how much you learned, and how this would be such a good benefit. Okay? All right. So, and I want to thank you again for making it through these months with me, with all of the uncertainties we've had, and your time, energy, and your leadership. And, I've learned from you guys too. So I really appreciate that. Okay, so what we are going to do is I'm going to start doing the roll, and then we're going to do things a little bit different this time. We're going to let John go through his presentation. And then after that, we're going to play some trivia. And then we will have some reflection and closing thoughts. Okay. So, of course, well, let me speak. Aderica, unfortunately, is not here today because, like I said, we were in a strategic planning, so she's traveling and was not able to be here. So I will make sure I tell her that you all missed her terribly in her absence. Okay, so as I go through the roll call, I want to ask you a question, and you just let me know your answer. So think about the best gift you've received. Share with us the best gift that you received or that you've given to someone. The holidays are coming up. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still like trying to do some last minute, shopping and things like that. So maybe I can get some ideas from you guys. How about that? Okay. So if you are having audio issues, just please put present in the chat so that way I can see if you're not able to answer. Okay, Lauren, I know you came in And you're having audio issues, correct? I just want to make sure I mark you present. Okay. All right. Destiny, share with me the best gift that you've given or you've received.
Um, I think the best gift that I've given was I did a paint by numbers of my parents, and so I gave it to them. But they almost didn't get it because it came late. It came like the week of Christmas. So,
Oh,
but I
goodness.
painted a picture of them and then I put it in a big frame. So
Wow. You
That's
know, I
cool.
think I think I've seen those things. I want to say maybe was it on TikTok or something or
yeah,
Facebook Reel or something like that?
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, where they take a picture that you send in and they paint. Oh yeah. Some
Yeah.
talented people. Did they cry?
No, but they were definitely shocked. They were happy.
Oh, something like that. Yeah, that's nice. Hey, that's an idea. Okay. All right, Joseph, tell me the best gift you've received or given.
The best gift I received, I was a long time ago, back in sixth grade, from my parents. It was a dog.
Aha!
So he's
Hey, fur
unfortunately no
babies are
longer
the
with us,
best.
but still
Oh,
got a lot of years out of that.
oh, what kind of dog was it?
She was a mix of all kinds of things. I know she had part beagle, but we never really found out what the rest of it was.
Okay. Okay. Well, we all love fur babies. My fur baby, I'm sure you see me turn every now and again because she's determined to make me pet her like she's trying to do now, even though, I'm slightly trying to let her know, not now, not now. All right. Okay. Jeanette, you are you able to I know you said you weren't, are you able to put anything in the chat or share anything?
Yeah, the best gift that I received besides my family being all together is my husband surprised me with a 30-year anniversary band last year.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Happy wife, happy life.
that's right.
I need to let my husband know that, like, hey, I need some upgrade on my bling, right? Okay, let's see. Kylie, how are you, ma'am? You doing okay
Hi.
today?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. And you're doing well?
Good. I am. Guys,
Good. Love
forgive
to hear.
me. I have a little cold too, but I'm here. I'm not gonna let that stop me. So forgive me if you see me.
Well, I hope
But
you
go
feel
ahead.
better.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
okay. It's
good,
okay.
good. Gotta sip some hot tea, maybe.
Yeah.
Best gift I've ever received, probably my favorite player's hockey jersey. My mom got it for me, and I'm just in love with it.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Who's your favorite player?
Brad Marchand on the Bruins, but he recently got traded to the Florida Panthers, so I'm very sad about that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If I see him down here
Okay.
in Florida, I'll say hi for you.
Thanks. Tell him I'm crying.
Okay, Peter. Tell us what your favorite gift is that you received or that you have
Well,
given.
I was just going to say what I've given because I nothing was coming to mind about having received, but Joseph, it brought back memories of being given a dog for my when I was 12 at Christmas. It just brought that all back. So if I'm a little teared up, that's why. So that was by far the best present I've ever received, other than any time my daughters are home for the holidays. And for giving presents, now that I've made myself into a potter, I just give everybody pots. I don't know if they like them or not, but I enjoy giving them. And Destiny, I did see this paint by number thing. I do want to get that for my wife. So thank you for bringing that up.
Nice. You can send me a pot, Peter. I would take it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Okay. Hi, Jamie. How are you? We're talking about sharing the best gift you received or given to someone. I don't. I know, that's great. She's in the chat. She said her best gift is being a mom. Yeah, that's priceless. Yeah. Okay, let's see who else we got. Oh, Crystal. How are you today, Crystal? How's things at your agency? How are you?
I am great. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. So share with
So,
us.
like Jamie, my best gift is are my kids. Um, they're my lifeline, so the ones that keep me going.
Yeah, kids are truly a blessing. They really, really
Most
are.
days, most days.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, and my daughter right now, she's expecting my first grandbaby. So,
Oh, how
she's a huge
exciting.
blessing right now. I am so excited.
Oh, wow. How exciting. I have not become a grandmother yet, but I don't think I'm gonna say grandmother. I'm probably gonna be a nana. I just think that's pretty
Well,
cool.
that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
do was Nana, but then my bonus son, which is my son's best friend, he's my bonus son. He's got married and they've got a little girl, so I've got a step granddaughter, but she calls me Grams. So now I'm not gonna be a
Oh,
Nana, I'm gonna be a Grams.
oh, but that's still cute. That's still
It is.
cute. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think I saw Briella come in. Did I see Briella come in?
Can you hear me?
Hi, how are you
Hi,
today? You
good.
doing
How are
okay
you?
today? I am doing just fine. What we're doing while I'm taking roll is we are sharing the best gift that you have received or have given to someone.
Every year since my niece was 8, she always paints me a painting, a canvas painting. And she's
Hmm.
12 now, so I still get them, and I hope I still get them for a long time.
Oh, wow. You know that those kind of things, just especially since it comes from the heart, I'm sure, that
Yeah,
makes it really special. That makes it really
yeah.
special. So, John, I don't want to leave you out. You guys remember John O'Donnell. I don't want to leave him out. I want him to be able to share the best gift he has received or given. And
Well,
then you can take it from there, John. I think I
all
might
right.
be good.
All right. I'd have to agree with being a dad. I'm a girl dad, so having three daughters is pretty priceless. One of them recently, I love to drink coffee like all the time, probably way too much. And recently, my middle daughter found a coffee cup that looks like a coffee pot. And so, since I drink it by the pot, it's kind of fitting that I have this coffee cup that looks like a whole pot of coffee. So that's probably
Oh.
a recent kind of really fun gift that I've got. But I'd say being a girl dad, and I'm hoping to be Papa John when the grandkids come. But I'll probably get called whatever, they can say, hey, you, for all I care. So we'll see what happens. So,
So
but
in the future you're gonna have to show you're gonna have to bring the coffee cup that
a
looks like
coffee cup. Yeah.
yeah,
So
because definitely gonna want to see it.
John,
So
if you've ever been to a place called Omega Mart or like Meow Wolf, it's like this like crazy place in Las Vegas. I think there's also one in New Mexico, but they're known for having like eccentric like type of things. And so I went there and they had a teacup, but it was in the shape of like an old milk carton, and it even had like the
oh,
milk
really?
carton top. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
pretty cool.
if I'm around one, I'll have to check it out. My different times I'll send pictures to my brothers of like odd coffee cups.
Hmm.
Or so I thought about getting a gift for my kids that's like having a weird dad's like a builds character. It was like one of these like things. So that's probably what I should put in their stocking this year. So but
Oh,
all
wait,
right.
John, we got one more coming in. Monica
All
looks like
right.
Monica's coming in. If
Yep.
you could give her a second. Well, while she's coming in, we can just go ahead with the next slide. Of course, you guys know, I just want to make sure everybody knows the NCAP Energy team. Our fearless leader is Mia Harnos. I'm sure you guys have met her. And then you have myself and Amy. We are the project directors. I'm the project director for Weatherization Workforce Development. and she is the project director for weatherization, dissemination, and engagement. And then we have our senior associates. You guys have met Aderica McLean. She's the senior associate for weatherization workforce development. So she works real closely with me. Then we have Kendra Baldwin. She is the senior associate for energy partnerships, and Grace, who's the senior associate for weatherization, dissemination, and engagement. And then Haley Rockenbach. She is the senior associate for our senior grants administration, which means she helps handle most of the financial things that come our way. So just so you can get a glimpse again of our fabulous, fabulous NCAP Energy team. Um, I wanted to say, let me see, Monica, I just want to say hi. We're gonna move along, but we can come back to you a little later. How are you today? I saw you come in. Okay, John, she may be having some, yeah. Okay. So you guys know this is John O'Donnell from
No, me.
Optimum Performance Solutions. So, we did have some homework. What I'll do is if we have time, I'll go over it towards the end, because I do want John to have his time to do his presentation. So we'll just see if we can fit that in towards the end as we reflect and go over everything else. Okay. All right. The floor is yours, John.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Looking forward to sharing in this module and being together again. It is kind of bittersweet. We're at the end of another WAP Pro cohorts sessions. And if you do have friends, encourage them to or people, colleagues that you might know either in the agency or in the industry that you think would find this helpful to have them look into WAP Pro 3.0 as that'll be kicking off soon. So today, as you noticed, we're going to be continuing along this idea of continuous improvement. Last time we were looking more kind of continuous personal and team improvement. In this session here, we're going to look at continued process improvement. And from the title slide, it also had a subset of kind of a secondary title, and that's process optimization for sustainability and scaling. And so we don't want to just look at improving a process without a kind of a long-term objective. We want to be able to sustain our programs, sustain our impact, and then also be able to scale things. We want to be able to continue to say, okay, as we have the better we are in our process and implementing our programs, as other opportunities come along, either that are dovetailed directly in, they're leveraging opportunities where we're able to expand our current services, or there are programs that are adjacent, that are kind of alongside, they're within our wheelhouse. The more efficient our process is, the more we're able to do with the current staff we have. And then also, as we continue to improve our processes, when new opportunities come along, we kind of have a framework to bring over into that so that we're able to maximize even in the learning curve. We're able to make that learning adjustment and make kind of a steep pull up into that so that we can deliver to our community the services that those other opportunities can afford. So the first thing we're going to look at here is this idea of with continuous process improvement, it is something that's perpetual. You never kind of get to a place where you're like, we've made it, where we can just sit back and rest. There's always going to be kind of reassessing and retooling and refining things, saying, okay, is this working? And part of that is because there's always changes coming into our programs. Weatherization today is very different than it was 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, however long you've been in. The longer you're around it, you realize that there's always always adjustments coming that require adaptations in our process. And so part of that is we want to be managing by objective, not just instead of just managing for outcomes. And what I mean by that is kind of early on, we talked about having that kind of paradigm where we're focused on not just an outcome, but we're focusing on a delivery of a product, but we're keeping the client first and foremost. We want to make sure that we're not just hitting a number, we hit a target, we spent certain dollars, we're able to do a certain service area, but we're keeping focused on households and individuals and families. That's our objective. We have a mission to fulfill. And so we want to keep that in front of us, and we want to manage to that end. And as we manage to that end, it's also going to incorporate all those outcomes. It's going to incorporate average cost. It's going to incorporate hitting our targets. It's going to incorporate leveraging. It's going to incorporate our spending plan and spending philosophy to make sure that we're managing and expending our budgets on time effectively, so that we're not seeing reallocations away from our agency. But if there are reallocations, they're coming into our agency, that they might strengthen us and support our communities. And so those are some of the things we want to be looking at, that we're staying mission minded and that we're serving people, not just hitting quotas. And if we're going to have a continuous process improvement, I want to kind of come back to a concept that I think I touched on previously, and that is, if we're going to have a process, first, in order to have a process, we really have to have a plan. And so as we step back, and should be something that's part of anytime a new program comes along, at the beginning of the grant cycle, the program year, we want to sit down and start planning out, where are we going? How are we going to accomplish it? Now we're here in the holiday season from November to January, and there's between hunting and Thanksgiving and other various holidays that different ones may or may not celebrate. There's a lot of time off that's taken. And so with that and inclement weather that comes in this grouping of months, particularly from December coming up into like March, then we start looking, okay, how am I planning to make sure that when I have a dip in production, that in the shoulder months or the other months, that I'm going to be able to pick that back up to make sure that I'm on track to hit my objectives and to hit all my targets. And so we first have to have a plan. Once we have a plan, then we can develop a process, how we're going to fulfill that plan. Once we have a process, then we can develop the procedures. And from those procedures, there's going to be policies and standard operating procedures. And part of our process improvement is coming back and analyzing, are there changes in the program? Are there changes in the staff? Are there changes, internal policies or shifts that are going to cause me to have to reassess my procedures? And once I've got my plan and then I can develop my process and then lay out those procedures to accomplish the process, then I properly identify the personnel, the individuals that are going to be involved. And as I identify the people that are going to be involved, I can then articulate to them their roles and responsibilities, because I clearly know what the procedures are that person needs to do in order to fulfill the process so that we can accomplish the plan. And when those things are in place, we begin to get into an effective productivity. I was at an agency the other day, and they were encountering a problem. I said, so let's work backwards. Instead of effective productivity, we have a problem. So let's step back and look at the personnel that's involved. And this is part of continuous process improvement. It's not about pinning the blame on somebody. It's about coming back and saying, okay, who's involved? And do they understand what their role and responsibility is? Do they have the right procedures? Are they following the right procedures? Do we need to make changes in those procedures? Has something shifted or changed that they do or don't understand, that I'm failing to give them the guidance they need to be successful in their role within the process? And then we continue to work back and say, okay, if it's not the personnel and the procedure, is there a gap in the process now? Is the baton not getting handed off as it should, when it should, to who it should? Are they not getting all the information? Is the information scattered? Are we making sure that in our process, we're always pushing the information to the top, always bringing it to the surface, so that when I hand it off, they don't have to dig and scrounge and find it here and find it there. I'm centralizing and I'm lifting it up so that it's easy for them to take the baton and move forward in the process. And so this isn't just moving it forward, but also when we encounter a difficulty, that we're able to work our way backwards, because we've laid these things out and we're able to start pinning down and say, okay, here's where we're having an issue. Sometimes it is personnel. Sometimes it is people just not cooperating, not doing it the way it's supposed to be done. But different times, before I look at the personnel, I always want to make sure I'm looking at the system, the process and procedures and policies, that make sure that I've set them up for success before I call call out for a shortcoming or a failure in the process. I want to make sure that I've done all I can. Like, what have I done to make sure that everything's really in place to promote success, and so that they can move forward in that. And so along that line, as we're looking at the process, one of the things in the process is most of us, when we're setting out, we're going to fly somewhere, we don't find we try to find I don't normally try to build in long layovers or lots of layovers. I want to get on a plane and get where I'm going with as few stops as possible. Because one, I don't want to be wasting my time just sitting around trying to get somewhere. I want to get there because there's a reason I need to be there. But also, the longer you see these planes, they're all sitting out there. The longer a plane spends out on the tarmac or just sitting there, and it's not in the air, it's not accomplishing the purpose it was designed and built for. It was purchased. It was by whatever airline, whoever it is, it was purchased that it would make flights and it would connect people to destinations. And so what we want to do is make sure that as we're looking at this continual process improvement, that we are trying to find as few layovers as possible, that the client is moving forward as quickly as possible. And with that, part of moving clients forward is also, we don't want to frustrate clients by giving them unrealistic expectations or by having to recertify them. I've been places where they've said, well, we've got a 3-year waiting list and we've qualified everybody. And so we're constantly having to recertify people year after year, and they're not receiving any services, but they have to get recertified. And it becomes a burden, and it creates not just frustration, but client fatigue. And so they begin to find people that just start bailing out, and they're saying, I'm just, it's not going anywhere. We're just sitting here, and what's really happening. And so one of the things in your process in moving things forward, you might want to, as you analyze things, particularly when it comes to moving the client forward, once we get to in weatherization in particular, and other programs, once we're at a place where it's actionable, set a reasonable expectation. Is that 60 days? Is it 90 days? Is it 45 days? That from once it's actionable, we should be wrapping it up and invoicing. Because when we look at layovers and delays and having a streamlined process, it's not just so that we can get from audit to invoice or intake to invoice in as reasonably fast and effective as possible, but also the more I have to the client has to give me the same information they've already provided me to be recertified, the more I'm wasting their time. Not only am I wasting their time, we're also wasting staff's time to recollect that, reach out to get it, receive it, process it, recertify them, when that time could have been spent on a new application, a new household. The other thing, when we get to our actual installation, our delivery system, the more time we have to interrupt their life and the more days that we have to spend at their home and going back and we did this and this start and stop, not only does it affect other clients that we could get to, but for a lot of them, their weatherization or other improvements that may be happening through other programs, that's their staycation. If they have vacation time, they may be using all of it to be at their house to allow the workers to come in. And if the workers are leaving the shop late, they're hanging around goofing off, and then they go and they stop and get a biscuit and get breakfast, and they finally show up, and they no sooner get there and they're taking lunch, and then they're going to do, and they have this short window of actual time they're spending on site. Those turn into unnecessary days of lost work or vacation time taken, or there are times when they're just missing work and they're losing income. And it's a household that needs every dollar that they can have brought in. And so we want to make sure that our streamlined path isn't just so that we're effective in our program delivery, but we're conscious and cognizant of the impact that the client has spending their days away from work in their home, allowing us to be there working, or the amount of time that they have to continue to give us information they've already provided. So, and as you're looking at going back to um, the client wait list and recertifying and things, one of the things that we've been looking at and talking with different agencies is assessing so that we can set reasonable expectations. What is the ratio of client services that I can provide? How many houses can I really serve in a year versus the community interest that's been expressed? If I can serve 100 houses a year and 300 households have expressed interest, I know that automatically 2 out of 3 aren't going to get served this year. Unless there's a windfall of funds, 2 out of 3 aren't going to get served. So there becomes, I need to establish a pathway that my process should involve clear communication to them of expectation and what that process is going to look like. I can do, whether that's, those that are on a kind of an asked, I have their contact information. Those that have applied, those that have been then the income and everything's gained, those that are approved and ready for audit, like whatever my process is, and the greater that the discrepancy in that ratio is, or how broad that is, 1 to 3, 1 to 4. If you got 4 years worth of households, we don't want to ever shut the door and say, hey, we're not taking any applications, we're not talking to anyone. We want to keep those community conversations going, but we also want to set realistic expectations as we're bringing in households, because in that we have a lot to juggle. We have service territories, we have average cost, we have WAP ranking. There's all these other factors that come into it. So we want to make sure that our process is setting up clear expectations, and that also continues to clearly and consistently move them forward along that process, so that they feel engaged, they feel and they have an understanding of where things are going. Otherwise, if we get everything all on the front end and they just feel like they're sitting there with this long layover, they're less likely to encourage others to apply for a program that never seems to get around to providing services. But if the proper expectations, if our process is bringing them along and keeping them informed, then it's one of those things that they're a little more likely to understand. Are they going to be happy with a 2-year wait? No, but the reality is we can only serve so many with the funds we have. And there's always going to be a greater community need than there are grant funds provided to us. And the downside of that is we can't serve everybody we want to. The upside is that provided the grants continue, that we'll be able to continue to provide those services and continue to meet as many the needs of as many households as possible throughout the year. So in this, as we're looking at the plan and the process and the procedures, and then the personnel that are involved in that, and then making sure that the process is moving in such a way that we're not having layovers and delays. Some of it, the next thing we want to consider for a little while is just kind of putting all the pieces together. And you remember in the last session, we talked about the concept of kintsugi, and that was that Japanese bowl where it had the pieces and it was put together. And we talked about the golden glue and how bringing all the pieces together. And so as we look at the system and as you look at the team, there may be like, hey, things are going pretty well. Or sometimes it may not be the whole thing. Sometimes it's just one part. Sometimes it's internal communication. Sometimes it's communication, interaction with contractors, and it just feels like a pile of pieces laying on the table. And you're not sure that any of them really fit together. They just don't feel like it's coming together. As you go back through the process improvement to say, okay, here's where we have a problem. Here are the pieces. We need them get together. Find out what is that glue. What's that precious metal that we need to use that's going to bridge those gaps? The pieces may not perfectly align, but we can make that connection so that it comes back to a functional and serviceable entity where it is delivering as it needs to. And so with that, as we're looking at that, there may be some pieces that don't fit. And it's not just internal staff. Sometimes it's external entities. Sometimes it's a contractor who just refuses to comply with the program requirements, whether it's photo documentation, whether it's form documentation, whether it's letting the agency know when they're going to be on site, how they're conducting themselves, what they're doing, quality of work. There are some times where the piece just isn't going to fit. And That's going to be part of continuous process improvement, optimizing our process for sustainability and scalability. When the piece doesn't fit, then the piece doesn't fit. And there are times where that contractor may need to be, whatever your process is, they might get just less work. You may start looking for someone else to come in and provide a similar service, or those that are doing it well, you're feeding them more work as you try to get this person on board. And if they're not, with coaching and with some guidance and with giving them all the right tools, if they're just not fitting, then they're not fitting. And your process can't be where your service to the community can't be constantly being hindered and undermined by someone who's just being belligerent and uncooperative to whatever level that is. And so as we're putting the pieces together, one of the things to remember is what you don't need is you're not going to you probably don't need a whole new team. What you don't need is a cumbersome process. What you don't need is a bunch of burdensome data points so that you can go into a meeting. I remember sitting in a meeting, and the person leading the meeting, I was a vice president, I think was who was leading the meeting, and they wound up all the way off topic asking about a water heater on a job, and it was scheduled to get installed. And it was one of those things like, that's really not a critical conversation for everybody that's here at this table. And so we don't need a lot of burdensome data points. We don't need a top-down only approach where whoever the manager is, this is the way it's going to be, and we're going to do this. In this conversations about process, sometimes it's good to make sure that we're listening as much as we're talking. And there are those that are implementing the process, those that are following the procedures that realize, hey, this other way might be a little bit better. They're the ones out there doing it all the time. So rather than just this top-down management approach, opening up the conversations where they realize they have access to us, that we are interested in their feedback. We are really a team. It's not just something we say, but it's something we really live. And so when they bring fresh ideas, they bring a perspective, that's going to be part of this continual process improvement, that we hear what they're saying. Not all ideas are good ideas from us or from them. But when you find one that's going to work, give it a try. And if it works, make sure that you acknowledge that, that appreciation. And when that happens, when there's an openness to feedback, and that feedback is heard, and good ideas are applied, and some ideas that we think will work, we'll give it a try, and they don't, and we revert back. The fact that we're open to that process engagement and hearing what the implementers have to say, they're going to continue to give that feedback. They're going to continue to come in, and they're going to be thinking, how can I do this better? What's a more effective way? What's a more impactful way of doing this? And as they do that, they'll bring those ideas. And some of those ideas, they may not necessarily bring to you because it's at their level. And there becomes this continual process improvement that's not just in management meetings. It's not just in strategic planning. It's not just beginning of the year. When they look at their job, how can I wrap a water heater better? What's a better way of tracking material? What's a better way of doing this? And it just creates this mindset of, how can we do it better so we can serve more people? We can better serve the clients in whose house we're in currently. And as they see that, and they see the benefits of that, and they'll see it personally, but also professionally, and in the houses they're serving, then it begins to become just an everyday occurrence. That's just our viewpoint. Our outlook is not just to do it this is the way we've always done it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But really looking to see, okay, how can we do it better? The idea of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's, Morse code still works. You can still use a landline. I sure like my iPhone though. And more with technology, like I like Zoom meetings. I like this. I went from Virginia, I'm in Cincinnati for the day. And I like this opportunity to connect. But we had to be open to that change. We had to be open to this technology. And the same thing happens. We see a lot of places where the way that it's always been done might work, but it doesn't mean it's the best way to do it. And the same as it ever was doesn't always give opportunity for the way that it best could be. And so let's continue to look for opportunities to continue to improve the process. So we don't need those things. The things we do have, as you see there, is you're going to have buy-in from the team. And the team buy-in will be there when they realize this is an honest process, that when they have an idea that they are heard and things are tried, and if it doesn't work, we revert back. And it's not just a fixed in, it's not management always taking credit and giving orders, but it is truly a team collaborative, an organically collaborative atmosphere where we're trying to be at our best so that we can do our best so that our clients can receive the best. And with that, there's what we're also going to have is not only the buy-in, but we have to get the right alignment. We have to have the right people in the right place doing the right thing. And as we work from our plan to our process to procedures, we're going to see the people that plug in. We know, as we talked about previously, realizing strengths and weaknesses, plugging people at their strengths, but not locking them in because of they're strong at something, but finding those opportunities where we're going to upskill them. We're going to partner them with someone that's strong in an area where they might be weak, or vice versa, so that we can continue to expand the capacity and capability of the team. But as we align the team and they're going to find that flow, having team alignment is going to be critical to make sure that the procedures, our process is going as it needs to, so that it's not a file is not lost on a desk somewhere. That the teams align, they know here is the next step. Here's where it goes from here. Here's how we continue to move the client forward to services. Now that we've got them approved and that's actionable, let's take action. Let's continue to move it forward. The other thing we're going to have, it's a must, is effective planning and efficient processes. And that's going to include, as we already touched on, this ongoing open communication loops, that we make sure that the client is always the focus, the program success is always in focus, and we're finding the ways to best accomplish all of those roles and responsibilities. The next thing is that we're going to look at is sustainable wage growth through Kaizen and creativity. So this is one side of sustainability. And one of the things that we often find is that in community action, it's not a place that we're going to get rich. Definitely not going to get rich quick. But it shouldn't require a vow of poverty to be a participant in it. And if we're going to see sustainable wage growth, we have to make sure that we're looking at the process so that we can eliminate embedded costs. We can eliminate the waste. And that's not about everybody being wide open, running as hard as they can all day and no breaks and no lunch. Like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about looking at ways that our process allows us to maximize our time. And I don't really like the term. I know I think it's the kind of the current term, human capital. That to me, it feels like a resource that I'm going to utilize. So I'm not a real big fan of that. I prefer the internal community, because it's the community within. We serve the community without by the community that's within. And as we're looking at process, we may find that we thought it was going to take. We worked with an entity, and they thought they were going to need to hire 6, 8, or 10 more auditors. And as we worked through some things and looked at their process, they realized that they only needed to hire really 3 more. And while they were budgeting to hire 6 or 10, and they really only needed to hire 3, that meant the budget for those other 4 or 5 positions that weren't necessary was something they had found in the budget, which means it could be available to the remaining staff of auditors that was there, or to others that were around. And so this idea of Kaizen, it's another Japanese concept, and it's the idea of looking for friction or for pinch points where things slow down. Where in the process, as the client's moving from intake to invoice, where is it that they wind up sitting the longest? And then we start saying, why are they sitting there? Or what's going on? And how do we improve that? And so that's the idea of Kaizen, is this kind of idea of kind of looking for, okay, where's it slowing down? Okay, let's get that fixed. Then it starts flowing. Find the next point where it's slowing down and start asking. Again, we're not headhunting. We're not fault finding. We're looking at the process. We're looking at the procedures. We're looking at, does the personnel involved need more training? Have I provided the right guidance? Do they have the right tools? Is the is the communication clear? What's going on here so that we can keep things moving as smoothly as possible? Not a rushed, not a good enough for government work, not a get her done. Can't see it from my house. We're not talking about this just rushing things through. We're talking about high professionalism that's not encumbered by um, um, what's the term I want? Broken processes or by processes that are kind of jerking along. We want it to be smooth running. The other side of this is creativity. You'll notice the slide here is a drone that's picked up a package. I find drones fascinating. I highly recommend them for auditors and for others so that they're not climbing on roofs. They can do roof inspections from the ground. You may have to get, depending on where you're at, you may have to get certain licensing to fly them. Certain areas are restricted. I think it's great. The fact that you can get all kinds of things in different places delivered by drone is fascinating. Are we going to use drones to install attic insulation? No, but we could use drones for doing roof inspections. There are other things that we can be creative with in our approach, in our technology, in our process, so that it keeps things moving freely. And so look for creativity. I'm not saying like always something new. There are those I've observed and working with and consulting with certain agencies that they try to get too cute, too creative with a program rather than just really getting good at it. When you get good at things, then you can find the nuanced aspects of it. But this is finding, being creative and thinking outside the box, looking at it from a different perspective, getting kind of an outside perspective, trying to take, like, if this was my first day doing it, my first time doing it, does this make sense? If what would be a better way or easier way? And just kind of going back through and saying, okay, how do I do that? So I want to find creative ways to maybe revamp and reassess, but then also just some basic Kaizen where I say, okay, here's where it's slowing down. How do we free that up? And as I do that, not only can I serve more houses, but also in our limited budgets, I reduce my embedded cost. And it may turn out that we're trying to hire for another program, another position, and rather than needing to bring on a whole new person, the existing staff could take on additional program. And by bringing on that additional program, it brings additional revenue that can raise their wages. And so we're sustaining a department, we're sustaining our staff, but we're also finding ways to increase wages without overworking because we're finding a smooth process. And while we do that, it'll allow us to properly assess what workforce I need, where my workforce needs developed, when my workforce needs expanded, where I can best place, and what we can and can't reasonably take on without expanding staff. And so I would encourage you, as you're looking at your process, apply Kaizen. Where are the friction points? Be creative, step back and say, okay, this is the way we're doing and it's working. Is there a better way? Is there a different way? And ask the team for their feedback. They may have some really good ideas. I find sometimes the newest members may be a little bit shy to speak, but sometimes their fresh perspective is the exact perspective we need because we've done it for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. We've always been doing it this way. And they come in and say, hey, why don't we do this? And I find myself sometimes almost embarrassed to say, because I never thought of it, because we never thought of that. And what you just said is so much better than the way we've been struggling to do it. That's going to make it so much better. And adapting those things. The other thing, as we look at process and process improvement, one of the things that we sometimes have to look at is making adjustments to the measure packages. There are times where um, in weatherization in particular, in energy modeling, and that a person may really want to provide all these services, and we want to provide as much as possible. But when it comes to modeling, we want to do honest modeling. We don't want to do all these manipulations to force measures to happen when the software, the energy modeling shows that not that it wouldn't have any benefit, but it wouldn't have significant benefit. It wouldn't have benefit that has real payback to the program. So it's not that it wouldn't help the client, but it's not going to help enough to be program justified. And so instead of always pressing and manipulating, hey, I'll just take a little money here and I'm going to take it from the walls, I'm going to put it over in the attic so that the walls will pass. Sometimes if a measure doesn't pass, we just recognize that it's not the best option for this particular house. It's not the best prescription for this particular house. And so as we do that, then we're able to, because I saw one, and I may have shared this with you before, where an audit, they moved one measure to a different section because they wanted it to happen. So they put duct sealing over an air sealing, and technically you could do that within our state, within our program. But I looked at the cost, and when I went and looked at other reports, it was like $700, and it had failed because the ducts were fairly tight already. But then we moved $700 over to somewhere else where it didn't really matter because we wanted to still do it. And $700 across 10, 12 houses is a whole nother house that potentially could be served. And so with that, it's one of those things where we just want to kind of be conscious of those things, that there are times where we may need, part of our process might be looking at, okay, are we being as, I don't want to say thrifty, are we being our audit given the integrity that it should, so that the package that's being delivered is what's best for the client, best for the agency, best for the next client with the limited resources that we have. So with that, ultimately what we're looking to try to do is we're looking at our continuous process improvement. We want to be able to be scalable and sustainable. If we're going to do that, we have to have efficient program delivery systems. One of the things I fly out different times out of Atlanta, and I always find it fascinating how many jets are lined up and they're just taking off, taking off, taking off, taking off, taking off, landing, 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 and it's just moving. It's not chaotic. It's not overdone. It's efficient. They know exactly how many planes they can bring in, get people on board. When I'm in the going from one gate to the other, from one connecting flight to the next, it's every once in a while I see people running because their timing is off. But by and large, it's not like everybody in the halls is running all over the place. It's not like the staff is acting crazy, like hey, and yelling and hollering and high pressure. It's high efficiency. I walk through the airport, I get my Starbucks, I get to where I need to go, but planes are constantly taking off, constantly landing, luggage is being moved, food's being loaded, they're being refueled. All these things are happening very smoothly. And me as a client, I realize that they're getting me where I need to go. And I'm comfortable and I trust the process. I'm not rushed. I'm not bothered. It's smooth. And so that's what we're looking for, is an efficient program delivery system that allows us to achieve all of our objectives, allows us to meet our outcomes, but along the way, it allows us to most effectively serve our clients and meet the needs of our community. And that's what we're after. We want not just something we can say, hey, we did so many houses and we did it in half the time. It's not a speed race. It's a quality of program. It's a quality of delivery. It's a quality of install. It's a sense of quality, not just in compliance, but when the client walks away, that they realize this was a really good thing. These are really good people doing a really good thing, and they did really good work. And listen to their feedback and the client response. They may have some also ideas that can help be more efficient in our program delivery. The last thing, and I don't want to overrun my time too much, is adaptive program leveraging. As we look at this, as we're looking at this cable here, it depends on which way you're looking at it from. might feel like it's unraveling. And sometimes at work, it feels like everything's unraveling and it's getting ready. It's just, we're going down to that last strand. It's going to snap soon. It's all going to just fall apart. Like we're headed towards problems. But you could look at the other way and you could say, okay, well, what they're doing is actually they're binding this. We could look at it as unraveling, or we could take the perspective that this is binding. And the end product is going to be something strong that's able to support, it's able to lift, it's able to withstand the strains and the pressures and the pulls, that it's going to be something solid and safe. And so with that, as you're looking at your process, as you're trying to be creative, not just in how to be more effective, how to upskill your staff, how to make your process more lean, more fluid, but also look at some different ways that you might be able to do some leveraging. You may have utility programs that are available. There may be healthy home initiatives in your area. There may be other programs that are energy efficient direct, or they may be affordable housing adjacent that may dovetail well. Look for those opportunities. Like, for example, we want to explore those opportunities. We want to implement them effectively. We want to maximize all of our programs' potentials and neighboring program potentials for the impact into our communities and the individual lives of our clients. In Virginia, for example, we're talking about measure packaging. We were talking about sustainable, scalable wages, increasing wages. In Virginia, for example, utility program, I think they've recently increased it, but they were offering 7 cents per hour per square foot. So if I had 7 cents and I'm going from R19 in our area, we would go up to R49. I go from R19 to R49, that's R30. 30 R30 at 7 cents is $2.10 per square foot. On 1,000-foot attic, that is $2,100. There are 2,080 hours in a full-time employment work year. So just that fast, that one attic, I realize there's taxes and other burdens on top of that, but that one attic, because I was able to leverage, I was able to bind these things in together, gives me the capacity to almost give $1 to somebody. And how many houses am I going to do a year? It starts creating that flexibility. It also gives me that opportunity where I can not only continue to increase a wage, but also I don't have to reduce a package. I can give the full package to the client. I can give stronger salaries to the staff. I can afford other things that the program may not be able to do that this program income could make improvements to in the office, and things along that line. So as you're looking at things, it's not just about drawing the package back. Sometimes it's about adapting the program out and finding other means and other resources, other partnerships, so that we're not unraveling, but we're binding tighter to provide something that is strong and that is able to support the needs that are pulling on our programs. And so with that, and in light of the survey and questions and wrap up and some of the things, we kind of took a different format, didn't go into the breakout rooms, because we're kind of pulling it all together here at the end. So I tried to hasten my way through the content here to cover it. Thanks again for your time, your participation in the breakout rooms, the opportunity we've had to be together. And I hope that these sessions, at least nuggets here and there, have been helpful and will continue to serve you well in your current agency, current programs, and wherever life may lead you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
You did.
John. Thank you. So before we jump into WAP Pro trivia, I don't have any like cool like Jeopardy music or anything like that. But we do want to do some trivia. But before I do that, does anybody have any questions for John? Any questions, comments? Feel free. We'll give a few minutes if anyone has anything they would like to say to John, other than thank you for being the wonderful person that you are. John has been a really good help to NCAP. He's an awesome consultant. So I'm pretty sure he wouldn't mind me saying, please feel free to reach out for services from him if need be. But if there are no questions for John, let's play some trivia. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna ask a question, and then you can put your answers in the chat. And these trivia questions are coming from the previous cohorts, the previous modules and things like that. So the first question is, what is supportive accountability? Please put your answer in the chat. I don't have any, I can go. Da, na, 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 da, na, 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 na. Give you guys a few minutes. What is supportive accountability? It's 3:08, so what do we think, John? 3:11, maybe? 3:12? Give a few people time to think about their answer and type it out. Or if you just want to be fabulous, you can unmute and say, I don't have a problem with that. You can do either or. Either or. So John, I mean, I know you know the answer, but give a general roundabout.
A general a snippet, right?
Yes.
So supportive accountability. Accountability we're familiar with, and that is having expectations for the person, whatever task or role. And supportive is making sure that we're providing them with the tools, training, and resources they need to be successful. And if we know we're providing what they need to be successful, then we can have a reasonable expectation for them to achieve that and to be held accountable for it.
Okay. Now, I know you guys put your answers in the chat, but now I also want you to think because this is a ABCD too, but I wanted to see what you guys would say. So John, if you'll go to the next slide, I'll let you see your choices and then put your answer in the chat. Okay, looks like everybody has given their answer. Dun, 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 dun. Go to the next slide, John. Boom, all of the above. John, do you want to kind of go into detail just a little bit as far as the answer for that to top off or add to the snippet that you just gave?
I can. So, with that, it's one of those things that and it's kind of like when we talk about evaluations, and I think employee evaluations, whether they're done annually or twice a year or quarterly, or a 90-day evaluation for a new hire. I think one of the things is that they should never come into that meeting and be blindsided by an observation. If I'm blindsiding them to an observation, they have every right to turn around and grade me poorly for the same thing. Because if I observed that there was a problem that now I want to yank them up and hold them accountable for, and I haven't already had this conversation to continue to provide the support, upskilling, training, resources, whatever it is, then I'm just as deficient in this particular area. Now, if I've been providing all those tools and all those things, and now we're coming to a review and I say, hey, here's all the ways I've been trying to provide support. You've not been responding. Here's the um, performance improvement plan that we're going to have to institute because of that. Now we're having a different conversation. So that is kind of one of maybe the practical side of where supportive accountability makes me kind of keep looking at the mirror and self-evaluating as I'm evaluating my staff to say, okay, where am I falling short? Where's my plan, my process, my procedures? Where's some of that falling short? Is there things that I need to make adjustments to provide better support?
Thank you, John. Thank you. Okay. Hey, Jordan. I just wanted to say hey there. I saw you come in. Hello, hello. All
Hello.
right. Hey, how are ya?
Good. I'll turn
Good.
on my video once I finish my lunch.
Okay, we understand. We understand. Okay, so next question. Investing in your community. Who are the benefactors? So before we put up the options to choose from, please put your answers in the chat, what you think. Investing in your communities. Who are the benefactors? Who benefits from investing in the community? Okay, got a few answers. John, you want to go to the next slide so they can look and decide and pick? Is it client agencies and NCAP? Your agency team and NCAP? Your client's homes agency and team? Or your client's homes and your agency? Which one? Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little different. I am going to call on someone. Dun, da, da, da. Crystal, tell me why you feel the answer is B.
Well, why do you pick on me?
Because you live
I'm
in
kidding.
Georgia like I do.
Okay, so the homes, of course, are given back to the clients. The agency, we are given to the clients. The team's given to the clients, and the clients are just that one. I really not. I got to figure that one out. Give me a second.
Okay.
But I mean, the work that we do on the home's going to be given back, because it's more energy efficient. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't know about the clients though. Y'all gonna have to help me with that one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Briella. Crystal said give her some help on that
Give me a
one.
hand here.
What for clients?
The clients.
Just for getting them, like we're talking about weatherization wise.
No,
Okay, because I was like a lot of
your answer, just like Crystal, was B to the
yeah.
question, investing in your community, who are the benefactors? And she chose B, just like you. And so my question is, why? Tell me why you feel that B is the answer.
Just because I think it's everybody, it's our community. Like our agency is here, our team's here, the homes are here, clients are all here. I mean, that is our community. So you help one, you help all, essentially. I don't know if that really answers, but
I mean, there's, I mean, I'm just trying to get you guys to engage a little bit more. There's no womp womp, you're wrong answer or, that kind of thing. Let's go to the next slide, John, and see what we have as our answer. See, ding, 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 ding. It is. You were absolutely right. The clients, homes, agency, and team. Everyone is the benefactor. John, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would agree that everyone benefits by it. The team, the agency, the homes, continuing to support affordable housing in our communities. And I think the clients, I think there's a variety of levels. One, for some of the repairs that the programs may offer, whether it's weatherization or other repair programs or accessibility, it may allow the client to stay in their home longer. It may provide safe access, make it more affordable. It also sometimes the home is impacted because of a new heating system or other things, and that burden of cost now may create an opportunity. Instead of it being a burden of cost into a home repair, it's now a financial opportunity that the client may have to invest that elsewhere. Whether it's in, it may not be the same $10,000 all at once, but not having to make a payment to an HVAC company may allow them to help with college books or some other things. Or so all these things, and if we can reduce energy burden, then it's that percentage of their income is also now available for other things. So they, whether it's food or medicine, et cetera. So I think everybody is benefited by it. And I think it only makes sense that we continue to invest in our communities and encourage these programs to continue on.
Amen. What do you say after that? But that's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, let's move on to our next question. Why is it important to meet objectives without dropping the ball? So, John, let's just go ahead and put up the options
All right.
for next to something. There you go. Why is it important to meet objectives without dropping the ball? Is it to equip your team with the perspective and resources they need to proficiently perform their assigned roles and assume the associated responsibilities? Or is it because it helps your team learn how to juggle better for Staff Appreciation Day? Or does it allow your team to act with clarity and confidence because they have the latitudinal and longitudinal space to work? Or is it A and C? Okay. Okay, guys, I'm gonna call on you. I'm gonna call on you. Barb, I haven't heard from you. How are you today? I saw you come in. You want
I'm
to tell me?
good.
Good. You want to tell me why you feel your answer? You want to tell me, you want to explain
Sure.
your choice of answer. Let me rephrase that. Go right ahead. Floor is yours.
I think A and C made the most sense because you want to make sure that you are, you know, building that trust with your employees, so that they know what to expect. And then there's not any surprises if they always know what the expectations are.
That's right. I agree. Anybody want to add anything to that? I agree. It also allows, in my opinion, it also allows it gives your team, I think it gives them an opportunity to put more trust and faith in you because, they know that you are going to lead and meet those objectives. Now, do we make mistakes? Absolutely. So sometimes it might happen. But the goal is just to do your best to make sure that it doesn't happen because what happens when you do drop the ball? John, you want to give an example?
Oh, dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Story of my life. That room was them all falling at the same time. So sometimes in dropping the ball is I think sometimes we have a project gets to a point where it's stalled. It's just sitting on the tarmac. It should be in line to take off to get to the next destination, but it's stalling because someone doesn't have clarity on or the resources they need to make a decision that's within their realm. And so they have to wait for someone else to get back to them. And sometimes there are managers that they're not a gatekeeper of knowledge, but they want to hold all the authority rather than empowering their team. And so by holding that back and not equipping their team and not giving them that latitudinal logical space where they know this was in my realm, I know what decision to make, it's the right decision to keep things moving, that ball gets dropped. And so that's one of the things where if we can empower the team, it's not about me being able to juggle 1,000 things at once. It's about us as a team, we can keep everything going the way it needs to go. And so making sure that's one of the ways that sometimes, and the client suffers, production suffers, a lot of things internally can suffer, but ultimately the client suffers because they're another day without a furnace. They're another day with a leaking roof. They're another day with delays in services, whatever those may be, that could have been avoided, but the ball got dropped.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, next trivia question. Super, super easy. What do the letters in the term SWOT analysis stand for? Okay, so I'm going to call on Kylie. What do the letters in the term SWOT analysis stand for? You want to go up to the next slide, John, please?
Yep.
Please. Thank you.
I'm gonna go
Kylie.
with A.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Have you ever done a SWOT analysis before?
Maybe mentally.
So John, let me ask you this, so you can maybe put a nugget out there. Just refresh them and tell them why it's important to do a SWOT analysis.
So doing a SWOT, whether you do it directly in this particular with this particular acronym in mind, or you may have a different way that you're doing an evaluation that covers the same concept. Part of this is we're going to want to do a strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats for staff to make sure that they're best trained and equipped to perform at their best. Also, so you can do it at the individual level, but then also you want to look at at a program level, like what are the strengths in my process? What are the weaknesses in my process or the weaknesses in our agency? They might be they may not be in my department. It might be another department, but if I'm aware of a weakness, then I can figure out an opportunity to strengthen that or to at least find a support for it. Some things you have to do a workaround because of a software or other things. And then you're starting to look at threats. What are the real threats? Because you may not have a weakness, but there may be a threat, and that threat could be a variety of things. Some threats could be if someone goes out sick, what's going to happen in that time that they're not there. And it's not just finding a new executive director. If you don't have someone that knows the rules and the whys and the wherefores of intake, you could have a whole program shut down or approve clients that shouldn't be approved that could lead to disallowed costs. So having a system where we realize, okay, that's a threat. I need to strengthen that. It's not just a weakness, it's a threat. If this person's out for an extended period of time, this whole thing starts to fall apart on me.
Right, right. Okay, moving along. Let's move on to our next question. Now, John, I might stumble over this word again. What what does kintsugi? Am I right? Am I wrong? Did I say it right?
I close. I'm not sure I say it right either. So
Oh, okay. Well, what does kintsugi, the golden glue, represent? What does kintsugi, the golden glue represent? Next slide for the choices. Jordan. Okay. I'll call on, let's see, Miss Destiny. Can I
Yes,
call on you?
yes.
Tell me what kintsugi, the golden glue, what does it represent?
So I could like in an example, I would say
Sure. Sure.
like a team that may not get along all the time, but we all have the same vision and goal in mind. So it's like embracing imperfections. I said D, but resilience and transformation, like everyone has something to bring to the table, even though we all may not get along all the time.
Mm-hmm. So, so your answer was, oh, you didn't put
D.
it in the chat. No,
Yes,
you
I
said D. You said D. Right. That's right. That's correct.
yes.
Okay. So, so John, what's the philosophy of wabi sabi?
I was actually getting ready to Google that. Was that in my
Oh,
notes? Because
um, actually, yeah, that was from the last, our last 3.1. That was a new thing for me. Remember, I was telling you, I was like, wow, I didn't know anything about this.
Google
yeah, so I
says
was with Kintsugi. I must have had it deeper down in my notes because and it slipped my mind. So um it is the idea of finding beauty in imperfections.
Hmm.
And so that's going to be part of it is not letting the perfect get in the way of what is good and what is great. And I think as I think it was Destiny that was just sharing like a team that it doesn't always fit and mesh on every level, but they have a combined goal. And so when it's critical and in the process, they always pull together to make sure that the clients are served and the program is delivered. So.
That's right. That's right. You look at everyone and in the team, and everyone brings a certain what's the word I'm looking for? I'm just going to say there's certain thing that may be, strong that keeps it together. Okay. And then, it can and even if it's broken, you can still make it beautiful.
Yep.
You embrace each other's imperfections. And then even in embracing those, I believe that you can help each other, encourage each other to strengthen them. If we all were in a team, I would be able to look at each of you, and you would be able to look at me and say, okay, Keisha may not be strong in this area, but I am. So we'll work together,
Yep.
to take that what's broken to make it beautiful. Make sense, everybody? Okay, I believe I have one more. Oh, no, was that it? That was it?
That brings us to the wrap up questions.
Oh, darn. I thought I had another one. Well, that's okay. All right. So because there's not oh, that's right, Destiny. Personality test. Yeah, that's true. Every team should do one. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. So I have a couple of questions that I would like everyone to, I'm gonna give everyone time to answer. What is one insight you've gained and you've already started putting into practice, through all of these cohorts? and all of the information and that was given, based on what you were currently doing before you started the cohort, what is one insight that you've gained since you've been in the cohort and you've already started to put into practice? And what is one area you're curious about and want to explore further? So, because we don't have, a whole lot of us here today, I'll just go down the line. So, okay, let's start. Let's start with Jamie. Are you able to come off mute, or do you have to put your answers in the chat? Chat. Okay. So while you're putting your answers in the chat, I'll go to Joseph. How about it? What's one insight you've gained? And I know that your story is with your funding, and things like that, but just answer to the best of your ability.
The best of my ability. Hmm. I'm trying to think of because I've jumped into so many different tracks since starting this. um, I guess just the general um mindfulness and um respect with team members. I don't want to say respect. It's not that I haven't been respectful. It's just just making more of a point to interact more with team members and communicating with everybody to make sure everyone's on the same page and knows what's going on. Um, which actually I have had to do with our contractors while we don't have
Mhm,
money. So
mhm, mhm,
just the open and honest communication stuff that we've gone over is something that I've been doing, but am more mindful about now, and more pointedly doing it.
mhm. Communication is very important. So,
Mhm.
is there an area that you're curious about and you want to explore further?
All of it. Is that is that a cheap answer? I don't.
Hey, it's your answer.
It's
It's your
my answer,
answer.
and that
That's
makes it
right.
beautiful.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I
No,
appreciate
truly,
that.
it's all been wonderful. And I do want to revisit all of it. Especially, I know there was a session that I missed. If I could get that recording in the future, I would love to watch
Absolutely.
that back.
Absolutely. Our all of our WAP Pro leadership cohort recordings are on our website. But
Oh,
if you shoot me an email, it's fine. If you shoot me an email, if you remember which one you missed, I'll be happy to send it to you. No
absolutely.
worries, no worries. Okay. Monica, are you having any kind of audio issues, or can you come off mute and answer the question? What's one insight you've gained and you've already started putting into practice? Okay, chat. Okay, that's fine. Well, while you and Jamie are putting your answers in the chat, we'll just move along. Okay. Kylie, what's one insight you've gained?
I definitely like the I don't even know if I can pronounce it. The the,
Right.
the the bowl.
Kintsugi.
I like that
Kintsugi.
kintsugi. Yeah, I definitely like that. I think there's a lot of depth to it where as previously said, it's like everyone has their own strength and weaknesses, and ultimately I just find that the answer for everything is communication. As long as we communicate everything and we identify those strengths and weaknesses, we can bond together and, be strong and beautiful.
Hmm. I agree. Is there anything that in one area that you're curious about and maybe want to explore further?
I kind of agree with the first gentleman saying everything. Everything was truly great. But even looking more, I'd like to actually read more about the Kintsugi and, actually see the whole breakdown of it, like what the Wikipedia has to say about it.
Right. That was something that I learned too. It was very, very interesting. Very interesting.
Absolutely.
Hmm. Okay, Jordan, the floor is yours, sir. One insight that you've gained and you've already started putting into practice. Okay, maybe he stepped away. Maybe. Okay, Barb, one insight that you've gained.
Something that we've already started doing is, I don't know how, like directing people, to their strengths more. Um, so really looking at our positions and the people we have and, kind of shifting responsibilities based on who can do them the best. One of the things that I'd like to explore further is the, can't remember what it was, supportive accountability. Really, kind of being mindful about, encouraging people. Somebody had mentioned the personality tests, and we've done a lot of those, different ones with our team. Some of them were required, upon hire, but it's interesting to see how people respond to different things, what people need to keep motivated. And so it's, really kind of teaching ourselves to be more mindful about that.
Is there one area you're curious about and would want to explore further?
The supportive accountability.
Okay. All right. Destiny. Thank you, Barb. Destiny. What's one insight you've gained? Well, first off, Destiny, do you want to, and I'm sorry for not doing this with everyone else. We can go back. Destiny, you want to tell people your title and your agency?
Yes, I'm with the Oklahoma Department of Commerce and which is like our state agency, and I'm the workforce and community liaison. So in all of our programs, all of our energy programs, and a lot of in weatherization, I help bring more awareness to our communities about all the programs that we have.
So what
Go
is
ahead.
one in, oh, I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you. I
Oh no, you're
apologize.
fine.
What is one insight that you've gained with this cohort and you've already started putting into practice?
I really like the kintsugi as well. I always wanted to try that. I just never knew like where it was. I thought it would be like somewhere in Japan. I would have to go to Japan to do it or something. But I've always wanted to do that. But also I noticed that there was like a session, there was a part that was like about like micromanaging and like ensuring that you have trust in your team and making sure that that like recognizing it with your boss. And so I definitely notice it with my coworkers and how like sometimes they micromanage our agencies. And it's like, well, if you trust them to do a weatherization job, trust them to do it correctly. Like, don't micromanage everything. And so that, and then an area, everything, and also the kintsugi more.
Yeah, that was really interesting. We're gonna have to maybe do a deeper dive into that, John. I think you have something there. Okay, so Monica, let's go back to the two ladies in the chat. Monica said, I like the supportive accountability as we can get busy after we have given out our goals for our staff, and follow-up is something I and other forget to do. Also, not judging the person for not completing, but being there, offering empathy. That is very true. That's very true. Because you never know why someone may have done something a certain way or did not do it. And so being able to understand and be respectful and hearing them out, I think is important too. Okay. Jamie is saying, challenging myself to be a better version of myself and like everyone else. Kintsugi. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's see. Who do I have left? Crystal, did you go?
No, you picked on me a while ago and you forgot about me this time. No,
Oh
I'm kidding.
no, I would never do that.
I'm just playing. So one thing is, right now I'm at Ninth District Opportunity and I'm the housing compliance manager. And
Mhm,
so I oversee our housing program and the weatherization program. I do a lot of this stuff, and they're telling me, you've got to get some of this stuff off your plate. You're not going to be able to continue to do all of it with where you're going. So the whole SWOT analysis is something I have not been able to yet because I've had all kinds of stuff going on, but I really want to use that to see who I want to train on certain things further in
mhm,
depth or more in depth than the others. I want them all to
mhm,
know everything, but whoever's better at this needs to work, I just want to make sure all my efforts are put and it's all put in the right place and the people, if I'm not in here anymore, they, make sure it's going to get done and done correctly.
mhm.
So, and then of course, like everybody else, the kin thing going
The
on,
kid,
the kin
Kintsugi.
thing. So
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
want to do that. But the SWOT analysis, I think that will be very helpful with me
Mhm,
transitioning and trying to get people put into taking over what I do. So,
mhm, mhm. Well, does that mean congratulations are in order? If so,
well, we don't know
congratulations.
because until anything's in writing, we don't know. But that's what I'm
Well,
hoping.
well, we're gonna just speak it into existence and say congratulations.
Yes, yes, I hope from your mouth to God's ears.
That's
So,
right. That's right. That's right. Okay. I think I have not heard from Brielle.
Nope.
Okay, I
Um,
just wanted to make sure. My absolute favorite name, and I cannot believe I did not call on you. I'm so sorry.
that's all right. I was gonna say one insight. I remember we were learning, well, so with everything going on, of course, with funding, we've had to switch a lot of people into different roles. And I remember one training we were speaking about training people on multiple, like a lot of our coworkers, so like our auditors can do multiple things, like anywhere from amps to insulation to check heating systems, but then moved some of our office staff who we actually found out were actually pretty good to help with auditing. We didn't know the interest, so I actually utilized more of that.
Hmm.
We had like kind of a sit down. We lost some staff, so we ended up having to utilize a lot of people, but we turned it into a positive experience. So it was really cool to get to know everyone and know their strengths. Like I love computers, so I was a good fit for that too. We all kind of,
Hmm.
worked into different things. So that and our communication skills have grown because of that also. So that was great. And one area I want to explore further is probably more of that process because it's a whole new process going forward. So how we're
Hmm.
going to navigate, are we going to continue training everybody doing all the same kind of things? So just in case one person's out, we can have the next person jump in and creating that good line of communication from client to our team to the contractors and back. So that's another thing I really want to work in. We'll get there.
Hmm. Hmm. I think cross training is important as well as having a good succession plan in place because, things happen, people move up, people move on, and you want the program to continue to be as strong as it can possibly be, if not stronger, when that person decides to, explore other opportunities. Okay, so who did now? Now, Jordan, I'm gonna come back to you. I don't know if you've stepped away from your computer or are you available?
Here.
Okay, so
Uh,
we were just asking. Oh, well, go ahead. What's
yeah.
one insight?
So one of the insights I've gained, kind of a twist on all the takes with Kintsugi, but trying to learn to be less rigid so that you don't have to break under pressure. I think that this last year, especially with everything constantly changing and a lot of uncertainty, being able to be a little bit more flexible with how things work is a ideal trait. And also just looking at things with different perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So is there any area that you're curious about and you want to explore further?
Um, I guess just effective ways that I can continue developing my soft and durable skills and what the best way is to help my team develop those types of soft and durable skills are.
Mm-hmm. Well, there may be some talk of that in the future. We'll keep you posted. Because that has been an interest in the network, developing soft skills, the importance of it, that kind of thing. So we will definitely keep you posted. Okay, so what I want to do now is just back up into our homework that we had. John, are you still available? Oh, thank you. Back towards the, yes, back towards the front. Okay, so reflect on how continuous improvement happens within the weatherization program that you are in and identify one area that could benefit from the CQI approach. So, in the sake of time, I just want maybe one or two people to respond so that way we can get all of the ending information out again for those. So, look for one area, identify an area for an improvement, engage and adapt, and sustain and scale. So, all right. Do you want me to call on you or are we going to volunteer?
I'll bite the bullet.
All right. Thanks, Joseph. Thank you.
So assuming, my program has money, my
We are
ideal,
going to speak that into
yes,
existence.
I'm going to
Yes.
get my money and it's going to be great.
Mhm.
I think a thing that we could improve on is finding a way to get an agency salaried auditor.
Uh-huh.
Because currently we use an auditor that pretty much the rest of the state of Florida uses as well. So he's only in our area once a week.
So
Um,
you contract them out.
yeah, yeah. So we build up 10 to 20 initial inspections and have to wait for him to come and fit those all in, and then we can move forward.
Mhm.
Whereas if we had somebody at the agency, it's just whenever we're ready, go on out, go do it, take a
Mhm.
look.
Mhm.
And that would speed things up a bit. Yeah,
Mhm.
what I think on that. Um, who needs to be involved? Uh, the state for sure, and the agency as well, um, to find some funding to be able to make that possible.
Mhm.
And I could make sure it continues by advocating for it.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
that is one way. That is
yeah.
one way. That is one way. And then
Documenting the continued need.
mhm. Mhm. And always exploring various funding sources. There's grants.gov to check it out to see, what grants are available, things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're about 9 minutes out. So I'm just gonna quickly go through the next steps. John, I think it's slide 34, if you want to put it back up. Okay. Oh, whoa, hey, you went super duper fast. Okay. So evaluations. There will be an evaluation sent out. If you could please fill it out. Okay. And then also, like I said at the beginning, you will receive certificates. It's a certificate of completion, and they will be emailed, and the digital badges. They will also be emailed, and you can, and I would ask that you please add them to your email signature because I do correspond with all of you. And I would like to see the digital badges on your email signature. Also, wherever you decide to use it on your professional platform, whether it's LinkedIn or what may have you. So please don't forget about that. My next thing is, does anyone have any questions for me? Any particular questions for me that you may have that I can answer? Or John, not just me, or John. Not everybody all at once. If there's no questions, that means that we did a fantastic job, John, and nobody has any questions, right? Isn't that what that means?
The questions
That's what
will
I
come, I'm sure. Not at the moment, but.
heard. Okay. John, go up to the next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So, subscribe to Weatherization Plus. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe. There is the QR code. And of course, follow us at NCAP Energy on X. I always want to say Twitter. Like it's on X, right? X now, right? So please follow us. And once again, MLTC 26, it will be in Orlando, Florida. So come on, who does not want to go to Orlando? It will be in Orlando. We will have another energy summit, and that is on January 27th, I believe, because the conference is the 28th through the 30th. So if you guys need if you need the information, just let me know and I will be sending it out anyway as a follow-up so you guys can decide if you want to register. But it is phenomenal. It is wonderful. It's full of information. We will also be doing a blueprint going over various agency R&E reports and their processes and things like that, and doing an actual blueprint so they can take back some information to implement after the summit is complete. So lots of good stuff if you want to come check it out. And John will be there, of course, but we will also have not only John, but myself, Mia Harnos, who is our director. And we will also have from CETA, John Patty and Paul. And also our speaker is the CEO of CETA, Harold Rice. So that's something you don't want to miss. Okay. All right, so our last slide, John, is our information, of course. You can also connect with us, of course, energy at communityactionpartnership.com. And there is our website, communityactionpartnership.com. The majority of you do have my email address. I am sorry I did not put it on the slide, but I am just going to give it out. kjohnson at communityactionpartnership.com. And John O'Donnell's email address is John.
It is ridiculously long. It is my full name, John.O'Donnell at optimumperformancesolutions.net, which is like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah. So as we close, once again, I want to thank each of you from the bottom of my heart for showing up, not just for this program, but for the people in the communities that you guys serve every day. Because WAP Pro was never about having all of the answers, but it was about building clarity, confidence, and connection in the work that you do. So what matters most happens next. So when you take these ideas back to your agencies and you support your teams and you keep pushing for progress, even when the work gets hard, or even when you have to pivot when situations and the current administration might decide to make a change or throw a wrench in what we do. But um, keep pushing even when the work is hard, because what we do and what you do really matters most. And also, like I said, you'll receive that certificate and digital badge, but give me till after the first of the year because of the holidays. And I just want to thank you again from the bottom of my heart for your leadership, your commitment, and your impact. And I want to congratulate you all for completing WAP Pro. You guys have a happy holiday, and I
Yes.
know I will be seeing you around. So you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye all. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.